My friends, welcome back. Episode number 18. We are getting up there. I wonder what number we'll get to, someday I don't, I guess we can just kick it off talking about the life of the podcast. I don't foresee the life of the podcast lasting as long as, for example, the Right You stream. I think it's probably more of a shorter term project. And I guess it's just kind of um I I think like it comes down to me. It's one of my strengths. I think I'm very self-aware in terms of like how something is doing. Like when I have a good stream or a bad stream, I'm pretty self-aware, right? Like, was that good content? Like, is this thing that I'm doing getting it, like, is it something that's that's gonna live on? And I don't know about the podcast, how long it will last, but, you never know. Maybe it'll get to 100 episodes, maybe 50, who knows? But, yeah, I guess I don't know. It's not me being pessimistic, and I'm kind of, I guess, fear that people hear me say that and be like, "Oh, he doesn't think it's doing well, so that means, he's being hard on himself or something," but, no, I think just being realistic, again, as always, it's not about the numbers per se. But if the project has kind of plateaued or went the opposite way, going on the other direction, which is down, um, I'm not afraid to pivot to try something new. You know what I mean? So maybe we make use of our podcast time to try to do another project instead. I don't know. I don't know. We'll find out. But I don't know. You know me, I'm always cooking up something, so we'll keep on cooking. But anyway, welcome to episode 18. Like I said, excited to be here. We had Leo last week. I hope you guys, if you've already listened, I mean, I hope if you're watching or listening to this, you've already watched or listened to the Leo episode. A lot of fun. Always fun to have a guest on and someone that I can talk to. Um, which I have some more guests on the pipeline. Um, but yeah, we'll see where that goes, and I'm excited about what's to come. We're pushing on strong. So we kind of ended the last episode with a cliffhanger, and we don't normally have like a cliffhanger because I just talk about it that episode if it's there. But Leo had kind of mentioned as we closed out the last episode, that he would like for me to talk about burnout, which is pretty common. I mean, I don't know. I feel like anyone with a full time job and other responsibilities, like an adult with a full time job and other responsibilities, guaranteed is going to face burnout. I mean, and I guess that's probably not a complete way to say it. Like, I don't know, but like just you don't have a full time job. Like, I guess I'm not saying like if you don't have a full time job, you can't have burnout. But I guess those are the people I feel like are more likely to have burnout. But anyone can have burnout. Sure, whatever's going on in your life, you might be experiencing some burnout. So Leo wanted me to talk about burnout and I guess how to deal with burnout. So the strategy I use a lot in my life is that you guys know, I have a lot going on at any given time, and my the amount of things I have, the amount of balls I have bouncing at any given time is a lot, right? A whole lot. So for me, and I've kind of talked about this before, but the way I like to kind of ensure, I don't even want to say like I avoid burnout because listen, I get burned out too. Trust me, I feel it plenty. But the way I minimize it slash the way I prepare myself for it, or like the way I don't know what the right word to say is exactly, but the best way for me to ensure that that I'm okay, that I have something to kind of keep me from burning out completely is exactly what I mentioned there, and that is that I have something to look forward to. So whatever that may be, Ideally, I want something every month. That's kind of my sweet spot. I mean, hey, more frequently than that, even better. But at least one big thing to look forward to every month. So like just going back like the last 6 months, in August, I had like a family visit for a week. I had a week off, and I was gonna. Oh, no, that was in November. Sorry. So August, I had a family visit, but it was more. It was not like a whole week, but it was a few days. So that was nice. And then in September, I had a trip to LA to visit family. So that was like a getaway, like a vacation. And then in October, Toshabi visited, and we had like some concerts to go to. We had a few different things, but like so that was like a particularly like a lot of things. So that was good. In November, I had a family visit. That was when I was off for a week, which was great. Having a whole week off is like that's the only time I've had that off in quite a long time. So having that was great. In December, I had two trips. I had two family trips to California, so I went on two different trips. So that was great. In January, Toshabi was visiting, so we had a few different things that we did. So that was like again multiple things. February, aka this month, is kind of the slow month, but the thing I guess I have to um, look forward to is like the well, I'm recording this and it hasn't happened yet, but it will have happened by the time you see this. But it's like the game night with everyone. So that'll be nice, and maybe I'll try to do like one other thing to look forward to. I'll try to put something in, even though it's not going to be a big thing like travel. It'll be a little something. So I'll try to give myself a little something to kind of help me push over that hump. And then in March, I'm going to visit family for my dad's birthday. And then in April is LVSC. So like for me, having that roadmap of like, hey, and then the rest of the year, I'm sure like by the time April hits, I'll probably maybe have something planned for May, June, etc. So for me, that's kind of the key to avoiding burnout is have these things to look forward to. And like, sure, I'm kind of admittedly stressed right now. There's a lot going on. Life is stressful. But I know in like a few weeks, I'm going to be on that trip in March that I'm really looking forward to. Um, and then like right after that, a few weeks later, I'm going to have LVSC, which will be like, well, I took 4 days off. I took Thursday, Friday, Monday. So like 4 days off plus 2 weekend days. That's like 6 days. That'll be like the most time I've had off in a while. So that'll be great. And then yeah, so like for me, that's the key. You need to have things to look forward to because otherwise, like think of it like you're walking across the desert, right? And you're like, there's no reprieve. Like there's no oasis. You don't even know where you're going. Like I know where I'm going. I break up my journey of life. Life is very, very stressful, very, very tiring. So I break up that journey of life by having little roadmaps. So right now, hey, I've got a lot going on. Next week, I have a lot of meetings. The week after, oh God, even more. I've got my 5 a.m. meeting that week. I've just got a lot of stuff going on this month. But I know on my little roadmap, I am, pushing toward that trip in March to visit my family. And that's going to be really nice and really fun. And so I'm pushing on toward that. So I know, hey, the next couple weeks might suck. They might be stressful, but I have like a reprieve coming up right after that, right? So yeah, I guess that's the kind of thing. Because if I didn't have that, uh, oh god, like you know what I mean? Like I don't know what I'd be. I'd be a lot more stressed and likely to burn out because there's a lot going on, right? But knowing I have something like a lifeline essentially to get to is what kind of helps me to say, okay, it's tough right now. This is hard. I'm tired. I need a break, but I have a break coming. You know what I mean? Like there's a break coming. So I just need to push toward that break. I'll get there and then I'll have a break. And so that helps me anyway, from burning out because I know, hey, like there's something on the horizon that will get me to where I need to go, which right now is a little bit of time to rest. So I've got that, and then LVFC is going to be even bigger. Like that's like a long rest. I mean, kind of. It's quite a few days. It's to be really fun, seeing a lot of people that I haven't seen in a while or ever met. So it's going to be awesome, and it's going to be feel good times. It's going to be awesome, and cool, and amazing. And so, yeah, so I have that. So that for me is the key. And I tend to space out my vacation time a lot of the time for that reason. Because I like to have more frequent small things like imagine, right? Like, okay, oh, I'm using all my PTO for like at this particular month. Like, let's say like in December, I'm just going to take the whole month off. Well, that's great. So now I don't have any more vacation time to get me there. I'm going to burn out, dude, for sure. So, I mean, I don't know. For me, that's the strategy, right? Have something small to look forward to. And even it does sound kind of sad, right? Like a 3-day weekend, like that's literally all I'm taking for my vacation in March. A 3-day weekend, that's my lifeline. Sounds a little drastic, but you know what? You play the hand you're dealt, and that's the hand that I'm dealing with. And so I'm going to get there, and we're gonna feel good, and that's gonna be my next benchmark to reach, and to help avoid that burnout. So I guess my advice for avoiding burnout is have things to look forward to. Don't let yourself and they don't have to be big like a trip. Like I said, we've got a cool hangout. So schedule things. I try to schedule a lot of things in the Right Ravine because for me, there are things to look forward to. When we have an Among Us night, a movie night, something like that, I try to have those sorts of things um, and put them on my calendar. Sometimes it's like a concert. I do have like a concert in August that I'm looking forward to going to. But like, yeah, just having little things to look forward to. And sometimes they'll be, for me, I like traveling. So for me, they're oftentimes trips going somewhere. Um, but they can be something small, just like, hey, on Saturday, like for me, I might say like, oh, on this day I'm gonna go to the strip and like walk around and like have a fun day out and just kind of just relax. So just things like that, just something that can help you know that like, yeah, this week is stressful, today is stressful, this week is stressful, whatever amount of time is stressful, but we have a little reprieve and enjoy that reprieve, taking that time to relax, and then you'll get back to it, and hopefully you'll have a new rejuvenated sense of energy, and then you'll be pushing on toward that next benchmark to get to your next little reprieve. So I don't know, for me, that's what I do. It works pretty well for me. I think I do pretty well overall. With the amount of stuff I have on my plate at any given time, I think I do pretty darn good at avoiding burnout. So you know what? Good job, Raichu. You're doing great. Thanks, Raichu. You're welcome, Raichu. Okie dokie. So we are back and we are ready for the questions of the week. So we got a couple of them to answer, and we'll see where they go. So the first one is from I have no clue. Uh, that's their name. You might have seen them in the chat. They have a funny name. I know. But their question is, and it's an interesting question, and I think I'm going to answer it very interestingly. And the question is, what are some red flags in a they spelled relationship wrong. Sorry, I'm laughing at something stupid. But anyway, what are some red flags in a relationship in your opinion? So I think I'm going to answer this a little bit with a positive spin on it. As you guys know, I tend to do maybe turn things a little more positive than this question would indicate that it would receive a response of. I don't, what is my wordage? Anyway, so I would say for me, right, and I guess there's only one red flag in my opinion, and it's a red flag that I'm pretty confident I would never experience. And like my baseline for anyone that I associate with in any way, let alone date, just even want around, that I want in my community, that I want as a friend, that I'm going to hang out with, that I'm going to care about my life. I mean, my baseline is, are you a good person? Like, do you have good morals? Like, would I put my reputation on the line for you as a person? Like, do I trust you at the end of the day as a person to have good intent in things you do? And so for me, that's my only baseline for like a relationship, right? Is that I think they're a good person, they're moral, and they're gonna do right things. Because in a relationship, right, sometimes people make mistakes, and sometimes people might do something that maybe at its surface seems like, okay, well, that maybe wasn't wasn't the optimal way that like let's just say, for example, I'm just going to choose like a random thing, and this is like the only thing that came to my head because like we just had Valentine's Day, right? Like let's say like I was in a relationship with someone and they forgot Valentine's Day, right? Or something, let's say. So did they do that because like they're a bad person, that they, like they they decided like didn't forget Valentine's Day, but I'm gonna pretend to forget or something so that I don't have to do it. I don't know. I don't even know what it would be, but like something like that, for example, right? Very simple. And like I would know if I was in a relationship with someone that they're a good person. They're definitely not doing that on purpose. And I would understand that, like, okay, that's maybe something that they struggle with, is like remembering silly little made up like, let's just say Valentine's Day was important to me. It's not super important to me, but like let's just say it was really important to me, and um and like they forgot, or they didn't say anything, they didn't wish me a happy Valentine's Day, they didn't give me a gift, whatever it may be, right? Like in that case, my thought process would be, okay, so for them, it's not a big deal to them, so they did not interpret it as a big deal, so that's why they didn't say anything. They maybe either slipped their mind, or they thought it wasn't important to like get me a gift or something. Like if that was important to me, then I would have that conversation, and I would say, hey, that is important to me, so like, it would mean a lot if like we could celebrate that in the future, like it's very important to me, and blah blah blah, whatever. I would have the conversation, but it would come from a place of understanding that because of whatever whatever, like they didn't do it because they're a bad person, right? And that's the confidence I have, that like someone I associated with is a good person. So it makes it easy for me to, things that would be, maybe quote unquote red flags. I mean, I don't think it would be a red flag to me, because I understand that like I'm not going to put myself in a position that, you know what I mean? Like I don't know if I'm explaining this well, or if this even makes sense, but like I guess I don't have those traditional red flags, because I like people say like, oh, a red flag is like if they, I don't know, what are traditional red flags in relationships? Hold on. Let's Google traditional red flags in relationships. I want to see what people are saying are red flags, okay? Controlling behavior, lack of communication, excessive jealousy. So are those red flags? Like, in my opinion, right? So let's say controlling behavior. Okay. I don't think I would get in a situation like in I think that would be maybe a bit over the line, where their good personness might be overstepping, but realistically, right, they might not even know that they're being controlling. So I would have the conversation, and say, hey, maybe you're being a little bit controlling there. And like, it's like the big thing I've learned, right, from being in a long-term relationship is like, you are a product of what you grew up in. So like, you don't like you can't change the way that you spent, I mean, I guess once you're like 50 years old, maybe you spent more time like not with your parents than with them, but like when you're in your 20s, even 30s, right, like you still spent the majority of your life most likely with your parents, living with your parents. And so there's certain behaviors that that you have to learn. For example, one example is, I grew up in a frugal home where we look for sales, we use coupons, like we are my parents never had much money, so I use coupons, I look for sales, I will go out of my way to go somewhere to get a sale. I oftentimes don't buy something if it's not on sale, because I can wait for most things anyway, not everything, but like a lot of things, like I can wait for that to go on sale, it's no problem. Whereas maybe someone who grew up in a different environment, where maybe their family had more money, so they didn't, maybe not even that they had more money, their parents just weren't good with money, so they spend a little more freely. They don't think about the cost of things. Like another thing, for example, I grew up like at restaurants and stuff. Like my parents are looking at the item prices, and they're pushing us in the way of like you're not getting this expensive ass item on the menu. Like we're getting like you're gonna get something that's like not too expensive, and like we're not getting appetizers. We're probably not getting drinks, and like maybe all that sounds like, oh, your parents are so mean, but it's just like that is the way I was like. I grew up. So for me, I might be in a situation where I'm like a little more looking at that kind of thing and like thinking about that, whereas like my partner's not. So if that's something that's important to me, like I don't think they would be doing that like hey, that's a red flag. They're spending money freely. Well, no, they're just like they're a good person. They had this thing that like is a quirk, or whatever you want to call it, of like they grew up this way, and so that's the way they do things. Like there's other things like lack of communication. I don't even think lack of communication is a red flag. It's something that you need to work on. Like some people grew up in a household where they couldn't communicate. Sometimes some parents are much more open. Like I've always had a pretty good relationship with my parents in terms of like communicating. Like we're pretty open. My mom and I talk like we're friends rather than like we're dictators. But I know people who have parents who are more like dictators, where you're not having a conversation with them like that. Like there is no communication. So someone like that might not be great at communicating in a relationship. Is that a red flag? Like, oh, I can't date that person? No, it's something that I can work on and say, hey, like I noticed you're not like, you don't do this. And like, I'm not a therapist, and I'm not sure if the right play is to be like, hey, like, I think this is why, but like, it's like, hey, I would like, can you work on this? Because I think this is really important. And most likely they don't even realize, because again, like, I didn't realize for a while, like, I thought it was just normal, right? Like, to be super self-conscious of like going out to a restaurant and like looking at the menu prices, or like, going to like a grocery store and like actually looking at the prices and analyzing what you buy based on what's on sale and what's like a good deal that week, or looking at the sale ads before you go to the store to figure out, hey, maybe I want to go to this store this week because they have this on sale that I need to get or something. Like I would have never realized that other people didn't have that same, you know what I mean? Like, so it's important to just realize, I think, that if you start with like, whether it be a relationship or anything, like I truly believe, get that benchmark, like, spend time with them. You get a feel for their morals, like the kind of person they are, that they're a good, caring, kind person. And then you realize that like these things that are quote unquote red flags are not an intentional like bad trait of theirs. They're something that maybe they're not even aware of. So it's a situation where you can say, you can make it better, like in those senses. Here's another one that on this quote unquote list of red flags that I'm looking at on Google. It says excessive jealousy. Well, jealousy, I mean, I don't, sure, excessive jealousy maybe is a bad thing, right? But like a lot of the time it's like, why is that jealousy there? They had bad experiences, or like that's the environment they grew up in, etc. If they're a good person, like I truly believe like we can work on that. And it's not a red flag. Like, at least the way I think of red flags are like absolute deal breakers. Like, none of this on this list to me is like a deal breaker. Like, let's talk about it. Like, okay, your communication's not great. Well, let's talk about that and let's like figure it out. And if I truly believe they're a good person, which I would, and not to toot my own horn, but like I have a pretty good sense of character. So like if I think they're a good person, I truly believe they are a good person. And so they're not lacking that communication because they're a jerk or they're just unable to do it. It's because they never had experience in that field, or they grew up in an environment where that wasn't a thing. And so we need to work on it together. It's just everything in a relationship is about teamwork. And you have to, the day you stop being a team is the day when a flag or something like that becomes overbearing, right? So it's like, it's just one of those things, like you just figure it out together, right? And if I truly, again, believe that they are a good person, then they'll be willing to talk to me about something like that. Like if I say, again, for example, hey, I noticed you've been getting really jealous when I hang out with other people, for example, or hey, I noticed you're not very, like, you haven't been very good at communicating this issue, Or what's the other one? Like, hey, it feels like you're maybe. I mean, I don't know. Controlling can play into a lot of these. Like, hey, it feels like maybe you're not wanting me to do these things, but these things are really important to me. So let's like figure that out. I don't think you're intending to do that, but like, hey, you're making me feel like you're trying to control what I do and etc. Like, let's talk about that. And I truly believe that anyone that I would get in a relationship would be a good person, and that I would be able to talk to them about these things, and that these quote unquote red flags would be able to not be an issue, that they would be able to be improved upon. Because at the end of the day, people just don't realize that, like, sure, there are bad people out there, but there's a lot of good people who maybe have, one of these flags, quote unquote, one of these red flags. And, I just really truly believe most of the time it's just a product of the environment they grew up in. And, some people were very, very much under their parents' thumb, for example, and they could not fathom life in a different way than the way that their parents, that the household they grew up in. So it can be a challenge for them to, I guess, understand that what they're doing, with what they're even doing, they might not even notice it. So that's where it just comes down to, like, hey, if you guys are a partnership, talk on it, talk about it, work on it together. And like, I believe that, yeah, that these behaviors can be worked on. I mean, sure, again, there's probably really bad people out there that, like, you, that would not want to work on these things. But I believe that nothing is, I don't necessarily believe, I mean, I guess there are red flags, like they beat the hell out of you or something. That's not like a little mistake, right? But like, like, I don't know. I don't think I would put myself in a situation like that. So I guess there are, I mean, sure, there's red flags, whatever. But for the most part, most things that can be considered a red flag, like this list says, like constant negativity, it says, like, sometimes they're come from an environment where that was just the norm. So they need to kind of see a different, like, light. Like, I don't know. It's just very strange to me. Like that you would want, like, first off, like, I don't know, I'm just reading the list and I'm just laughing because I'm like, if someone really is constantly negative, how are you in a relationship with them? Like, that wouldn't turn you off. Like, you would know that before you get in a relationship with them. No? Or am I just crazy for thinking that? Because, like, something like that, it seems like I would want to find out, like, hey, it seems like you're really negative lately. Like, can we talk about that and see, like, what is your job getting done? Maybe I can help you. Like, we can try to find you another job. Maybe I can help you ease the burden in other areas. Like, maybe if I take on some additional things, like, I'll help you with some other things that I can, so that you can have a little more time to unwind, and maybe that'll help. Like, most of these things just come down to, they're your partner. It's a partnership, and you need to work together on things. Sure, not everything is hunky-dory, wonderful, amazing all the time. Sometimes the one of the partners exhibits a trait that is not ideal. And I think, as a partner, it is important to figure out why that's happening, have that conversation. It's not necessarily an easy conversation. Like, who would want to go to their partner, for example? Like, I'm reading this list, and who would want to go to their partner and say, hey, like, I don't like the fact that you're being really negative. Like, it's not a real fun thing to say, right? But, like, it's important. And it's like sometimes that, again, that person might not even realize, like, holy crap, I am really being negative, like, right now. And, like, let's try to figure out why. Let's work as a partnership. Let's try to figure out why this is being caused, and let's try to get to the bottom of it together. Because at the end of the day, again, if you don't work as a partnership with your partner, you're screwed no matter what. Like, no amount of flags of any color can solve that. Like, if you don't, you have to, at the end of the day, it's just like, no, I don't feel like most of these things that are, and I'm just going by what Google says as far as what are red flags, because I never really felt like I had red flags in my one long-term relationship. Like, it was more of like, if I felt slighted in a way, I trusted that my partner was a good person, and the reason this happened was not because of malice or because of, like, anything bad. It was more of a, hey, they're not even, like, realizing this is going on. Like, let's talk about this and figure this out. Because, like let's figure this out. Like, let's have a conversation and try to learn where this is coming from. And also, I guess, just doing, even beyond just having a conversation with them, you can do some introspection as well, especially once you get to know, and I guess if you're like in a very new relationship, maybe you don't have that level of like knowledge about your partner yet. But like once you get to know them, you can put the pieces together and say, oh yeah, like to use the example I used like from earlier, like, oh, they just go to the grocery store and buy whatever. They don't care about sales. They're spending money a little like seemingly too frivolously. Well, they're not a bad person. It's just like they grew up in a household where money was spent frivolously and no one looked at sales or considered deals or paid attention to the menu prices at restaurants, for example. And they just spend freely because that's the way they were kind of like that's how they grew up. Like, it's not malice. Like, let's have a conversation about like, hey, like, it's not that much more difficult to spend a few extra minutes, and like we could save like a lot of money, for example, by being mindful of these sales. And like we save like $20 for like 5 minutes of work. Hey, that's pretty good. And like almost anyone can agree like, hey, that is worth it. But like if they're not familiar with like, hey, you can save a lot of money if you do this, because they've never done that before, right? So just as an example, like, have the conversation and also try to understand why someone's doing something. And for me, that's the most important thing, is like, me, right? You the optimist, right? Don't assume the worst, like, oh, they're doing this because they're a jerk or they just don't care. Try to have some introspection and try to figure out maybe why they're doing that, and then have the conversation with them. You shouldn't just assume, but like come to that conversation with a little bit of idea, like, hey, maybe like, I was like, maybe this is happening, and like, I don't know, like figure out the outcome together, obviously, but like have some kind of idea where you're not just going in assuming the worst, like, oh, they're doing this because they're an ass. Don't assume that. But again, for me, that all starts with having the confidence that they're a good person. I mean, some people like to get in relationships, I think, a little more freely. I'm very selective, obviously. So it's just a matter of if I'm getting in a relationship with you, I 100% think you're a good person. So I would not assume that you would do anything that would be deemed bad, or that you're like going to try to hurt me. Would you possibly make mistakes? Sure, very possible. Everyone makes mistakes. But would it come from a place of like malintent? No. It would come from a place of maybe either being naive, or maybe just not understanding a situation, or just something like that. Something that's, just some people are busy, they're stressed, they don't stop to think about what they're doing. Like, hey, I have been a little negative lately, or hey, I have like maybe acted jealous, or hey, maybe I have like whatever it may be. Have that conversation, because sometimes people just don't even understand. They don't realize, like, we're all, I don't want to say we all, most of us have busy lives, and sometimes you don't have time to stop and think. So yeah, I guess that's a good thing. And something I learned long ago that's important is have like weekly check-ins with your partner. And if there's something like, that you need to bring up there, that's a good time. Hey, I noticed as of late you've been really negative. Or hey, I noticed as of late you've been like, I'm just reading this list, substance abuse. Like, hey, I noticed like as of late you've been drinking excessively every night, or something like that, right? Hey, I noticed that like you haven't really wanted to communicate with me like lately, or like you haven't wanted to talk much. Like, what's going on? Like, is there any way I can help you? And you should never obviously frame it as a way of like hey, I'm calling you out, but like, hey, how can I help? Is anything I'm doing causing this behavior? Or is there some way I can help ease the burden so that you don't have to do this behavior? Or is there like, let's have a conversation? And it's important to realize, again, it's a partnership. You have to work together. And that means that sometimes like you might not fully agree. Like, if I like for me, right? Again, going back to that old example, like I might not be able to fathom the fact that someone would buy something at full price and not use a coupon, or not like analyze the sale ads before like making a purchase, or just buy something because they want it even though it's not on sale, for example. I can't fathom that. But if it's a partnership and I'm having a conversation, just as an example, with my partner, and they say, well, for me, sometimes I just go to the store and I see something and it's important that I have the money. Like, I'm not broke. Like, I can go to the store and like I can see that I don't know, I'm just gonna choose a random thing. Like, I can see these ice cream bars I like are full price, they're not on sale, but I really want them right now, so I'm gonna buy them. Your logic is like we should wait for a sale, but my logic is sometimes like life is hard and I just want to buy something because I really want it. And so maybe we can meet in the middle where I'll try to be a little bit better at like, being mindful of deals and stuff and not spending as frivolously. But maybe you can be a little more mindful. Like, sometimes I just want to enjoy this thing, whether it's on sale or not, doesn't matter. Sometimes I want to do that. And so maybe we can both be a little more mindful of the other's kind of way that their mind works and work together. And like that's the key, right? Compromise. Everyone talks about compromise in a relationship, and that is the key, is that you compromise. And like, I'm just, again, looking at the list, excessive jealousy, right? Hey, I noticed that you get jealous when I spent like a lot of time with this person, for just as an example. I just want you to know, like, obviously, like what makes you feel jealous? Oh, that I'm like spending more time. You think I like them more because I'm spending so much time with them? Well, I can understand that. And like, so what is an amount of time you're comfortable with, like, that I spend with them? Like, okay, I was hanging out with them every day, for example, and like I wasn't spending much time with you. Okay, well that's reasonable, right? Like, so how many, like what if I hang out with them only on the weekends or like only on weekdays, and then you and I spend more time together on those other days, or whatever it may be. Like, let's come up with a compromise. And if you have a good, loving partner who wants to work with you in a partnership, then you'll come up with something that you're comfortable with, and you'll reassess as needed, right? So, hey, like I'd like to be able to spend weekends with you, so maybe you can just spend weekdays with that person, right? Because it felt like you were spending all your time with them when I'm your partner and I want to be spending time with you. Okay, sure. So let's try that. So then, you only spend, then they only spend weekdays with that person, but I'm still feeling like a little shorted because I only get to see you on weekends. So like, hey, maybe like, we could, let's reassess this, because I'm still feeling like very jealous, like seeing how much time you're spending with them, because I still don't feel like I'm necessarily getting enough. And again, it's just all about working on those things together. So yeah, I guess just at the end of the day, it's about no, I don't think there's red flags in that sense. I mean, other than an obvious red flag, like, hey, I walked outside and my significant other was kicking puppies. Okay, well, everyone can agree that's a red flag, but I don't think I'm pretty confident I wouldn't end up in a relationship with someone like that, so I can't really, I can't really relate to that. But like basic red flags, like that it's on this list here. All of these things feel very like, let's have a conversation about them. You're getting jealous. Why is that? If you're getting jealous, I'm probably playing a part in making you that way. So let's have a conversation and figure out why that is. And I don't want to hurt my partner. I love my partner. You know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't want to hurt them. So let's work on it together. So I guess in that sense, a red flag would be if your partner doesn't want to work with you on anything, then they don't really want a partnership, because again, it's called a partnership. They're your partner. You're supposed to work together. So if they don't want to work together with you, then they probably don't want a partner, because that's what a partnership is. But on that same note, maybe they just don't understand, and this is my optimism again. Maybe they just don't fully understand. They've never been in a relationship before. Maybe they just don't understand. Oh, that's how like a partnership works. Like, we need to compromise on things sometimes, or like we need to figure out things together. Okay. So then maybe they get better at that. And so I don't know. It's just a matter of working together. And I think red flags is kind of an overrated term. Deal breaker to me would be if you're not a good person. Anything beyond that, hey, we can work on it together. If you're a good person, I truly believe you would have my best interest at heart at the end of the day. And, and like, even if you're like, you have my best interest at heart, like that you're not, like, for example, like you're not fully invested in the relationship, right? Like, you think the relationship needs to end. But like, if I know you're a good person, then I know you're not doing that to like hurt me. Like, you're being honest and having like that's the best intent. Like, I'm not committed to this. Like, I'm not feeling the relationship. So for your best interests, like, I think we should end the relationship. Just as an example, right? Like that's an example of like, they're kind of doing something not good to you, I guess. I mean, breaking up with you, it's not a good feeling, right? But like, they're doing it for the right reasons, and like, no, at the end of the day, are they a good person? That's the only list on my list to check before I would, I guess that's the baseline, right? Other things can be figured out. I mean, obviously, like, sure, there's other aspects that go into a relationship. You want to have similar interests. You want to have, whatever else that you like about them. But at the very, very baseline is, are they a good person? And if they are, then I believe that those quote-unquote red flags may not be as red as people would lead you to believe, because, it's hard when you read things like this online. Like, I'm looking at this list right now, and, like, have I ever been guilty of not communicating well? Absolutely. Have I ever been guilty of jealousy? I mean, what is excessive, right? But, like, in my life, have I ever been jealous? Sure, I felt jealousy before. Sure, absolutely. Just a human emotion. Like, have I ever been negative? Sure. Like, absolutely. Like, life is hard. Sometimes you're negative, right? So, like, I would hate to be labeled like, Raichu has these red flags. Like, you can't date him. He has all these red flags. Versus, like, talk to me about them, right? Like, sometimes I think I'm a pretty self-aware person in general. But sometimes I'm not. And I know self-awareness is a difficult trait. So some people just aren't self-aware. You might go to someone and say, hey, you've been really negative lately, and they don't even realize, right? Like, they're like, you're right. Like, it's been hard, and so, like, I haven't been myself, or whatever it may be. So yeah, I think at the end of the day, I know it didn't necessarily answer the question super well, but my red flag is, are you, if you're not a good person, well, that's my red flag. That's my undateable red flag. Anything else? Hey, let's work on it. Let's try it. Let's figure it out together. So thank you for the question. That's an interesting question. I don't know. We don't talk about relationships a whole ton, but I mean, I've spent, let's see, how many years officially? 9, I guess, 9-ish, like official in a relationship. So I think I'm a fairly knowledgeable guy when it comes to that kind of thing. Relatively speaking, there are certainly many, many more knowledgeable people, but I know a thing or two. So yeah, thank you for that question. I have no clue who I am. All right, next one from Game Work, and I don't think this is really a question, but I'm going to actually answer it like a question, just because, I don't know, it's an interesting topic. I mean, so again, it's not a question, but it spawns some interesting conversation, I feel like. So the question says, gay? Question mark? From Home Orca. It's HOMORCA, like, get it, like Homo Orca. And the first time I read this, I actually thought it said Horn Orca, and I was like, whoa, is he being horny in my question forms? But no, it says, it's a play on Home Orca. But yeah, so it says gay. And my answer to that is, I don't know, man. It's interesting. And again, I'm fully aware Orca was not asking me this question, but I didn't want to talk about it because it's something I talk about a lot. And do I fully? I mean, I don't know. It's like anything, right? A lot of people that are not gay, especially in the fandom, I feel like, call themselves gay because it's just a simplification. And I have referred to myself as gay before to many people because when it's not so black and white, the older generation, for example, if I'm talking to my parents or other respected older people in my life, they don't know. I'm not going to try to, I mean, I have before tried, but it's really not getting you much if you try to explain, like, hey, I'm pansexual, for example. That doesn't mean a whole lot to them. They're just confused. So if you say gay, bi, I mean, my parents, I think my mom fully calls me bi or accepts me as bi, or like, if someone asked my sexuality, she would probably say bi. But it's complicated because I've only been interested in guys for a long time, but I've talked about, I think I talked about this before, like I have had romantic feelings toward women in my life, and I think it's more of just a heavy male leaning pan kind of deal, because like even now I think about it, right? And like, if I'm being honest with myself, is there a zero? And it's kind of semantics at some point, right? Because there's a certain percentage, right, where if you're like 99.9% gay, you can probably just call yourself gay. So it's kind of me just, hashtag semantics. But like, do I consider myself 100% gay? I don't. Do I foresee people who either are non-binary or identify as female, etc.? Like, could I see a world where I was in a relationship with someone like that? And the answer is yes, I could. It would be more of a hurdle, I suppose, versus a straight up male, gay, male. Like, I don't know, but like, I guess it would be more of a hurdle. But like, when I think back to the girls, and there's really like one that I felt most of my quote unquote straight feelings toward, but kind of two. But like, I think of them, and they are more tomboyish girls who are like, they're the type of girls who are like right there with the bros. Like, they played sports with me and stuff like that, and like they were really good at sports. Like, like the real tomboyish girls, right? That could throw down with the dudes, and that is attractive to me. I mean, I'm an athlete, and I like athletic type people. So like, those kind of girls did appeal to me and do. I mean, same situation now. I mean, an athletic girl or non-binary person or whoever, could I be attracted to them sexually? I think so. And I guess it also comes down to my deminess, in the sense of like, my initial thought isn't like, ooh, they be sexy when we go have sex. Like, that is a very, very low priority for me. I'm not a very sex-driven individual. I have, like anyone, I have my moments, and I have my, like, I think this is normal. I don't know. Like, I go through periods where maybe like a week I'm really horny, and maybe like another week I have like no drive whatsoever. I think, is that normal? I don't know. But like, so yeah, like, again, it comes down to the deminess, right? Like, I'm not, if I, let's just say I met someone, like, let's just say I was like in my softball league, like I met a girl or like a non-binary person, right? And they were really cool, and we like hung out, and they were like, they were my type, quote unquote. Like, could I say, wow, I'm falling for them, like their personality or like their things I like about them, their traits? I think I could. And then like, sexually from there, where would it go? Like, would I be able to like comfortably move forward with performing sexual activities with them? I think yes. It would take some, I've never been with a girl. I mean, straight up. I mean, everyone, I think, pretty much knows that. But like, I've never been sexually active with a girl. So like, would it take some learning? Sure, probably, and which would be embarrassing for me, probably a little bit. But like, if I really liked them a lot, like, do I think I could learn to be attracted to them? Yeah, because again, for the most part, I mean, like, if I see a naked guy, right, and they're attractive, like, sure, like, I think I could say, yeah, like, they're attractive, but I don't go and like look at random. Like, if I see a naked dude, right, like, I'm browsing my AD Twitter, right, there's some dude, somehow, randomly, someone's, body parts are out there. Like, do I feel like aroused? I really don't. So, for me and my deminess, I feel like, again, it's like, do I like guys? Primarily, yes. But I don't really like anyone sexually until I get to know them. Again, that's where the demi part comes in. Can I accept that, like, like, if I see a random male body versus a random female body, in general, I mean, yeah, I'm going to be more attracted to the male. I lean gay. But, like, does that mean I could never find a female body attractive? I don't think so. I think you would have to, like, I don't know. It's an interesting thought. And it's probably way, way, way more thought than needs to go into a funny, silly little question that just says gay. But, like, Yeah, I guess for me, I don't know. If anyone asked me, I would say gay. Yes. But like here's an interesting one. Like when I sometime after my breakup, right? My mom asked me. She was like, so like just out of curiosity, like would you ever do you think you would ever like be with a girl? And she didn't mean anything bad by it, right? Like I know boomers are kind of they want the traditional relationships, blah blah blah. My mom is she has a sister that's gay. She's pretty open. Like she was the first person I shared that I was gay with, or that I was in a relationship with a guy, I guess rather, because I didn't to her identify fully as gay, but yeah, I'm in a relationship with a guy. Um, and she asked me that, and like I told her honestly, I said I don't know, but I wouldn't say there's 100% chance of no. And I mean, I still, I guess, feel like that. Like I'm not the type of person to live in like black and white. Like, do I like? I don't know. You just have to kind of live your life expecting that like anything is possible. Like, I don't know. Is it likely that I'll be a millionaire like next week? Probably not, but like you never know, I guess, right? Like I don't know, it's like anything, right? Like you have to be prepared for anything, and for me anyway, I don't like fully black and white. Like is it unlikely that I bring home a girl, mom? Yes. Yes it is. Is it impossible? No. It's not impossible. Would I like would I get my hopes up if like you're hoping that I bring home a girl? Probably wouldn't get your hopes up, but it's not impossible. So it kind of comes back down to just being honest. Like, don't like I don't know. Like if someone asked me, like, I don't know. It's like anything. Like yeah, it's hard to say. Like I don't believe in fully black and white, but I do believe in honesty and like give them a realistic. Like it would be disingenuous if I said to my mom like, yeah, like there's a pretty good chance that could happen. Like there's not a pretty good chance. And it would be the same thing if like, for example, someone like I don't know, said like I don't know, like would you you're gonna go to this con. Like I don't know, like I feel like it's important to be genuine and honest and like I kind of I just have a conversation. And like I told my mom, yeah, there's a lot of obstacles. Like I don't normally find myself super attracted to women. I'm mostly lean toward guys, but yes, I guess the chance is not zero, it's not high. But here's where it's at. And I just don't that's a big thing for me is like I've always tried in my life to not give false hope in areas like in any area. Like, hey, like can you get this report done by tomorrow? Like if I can't get it done by tomorrow, I'm gonna tell you the chances, right? Like, hey, can you get this done today? And I'm gonna tell you that I'm gonna be very honest with like the chances of that happening. And just like I'd be honest with anything, like it just comes down to being upfront. And like I for the most part, I would say almost anything in life is not a 0% chance. And maybe that comes down to like my poker playing again, because I know like even in situations where like you might be tempted to say like there's 0% chance that would happen, sometimes the unexpected happens in poker and in life. And so being honest, this is very unlikely, but it is possible. Or hey, this is very likely, but it's not guaranteed, right? Like anything, like like hey, like I don't know, it's just about being upfront and honest with the chances, because no one fully knows. Like you can say like, for example, 100% chance, oh yeah, this relationship's definitely gonna work out, for example. When you're talking about relationships, like you could say this is definitely gonna work out 100%, but you never really know 100%. So you can say like I'm confident that this is gonna work out. Is there ever a guarantee in life? No, but I'm very confident in it. And like that's kind of what it comes down to. Like, do I think I'm gonna like I don't know, like am I going to LVSC? I'm going to LVSC, yeah, and like I could easily say there's 100% chance. I mean, technically something could happen where like my I don't want to will anything into existence, but like let's say like my mom I don't know, has something bad happen and I have to go out of town to like take care of her or something, right? Like, then I would probably miss the con, right? So that's like an example, right? Like, if someone asked me, I'd probably say like, oh, hey, are you going to LVSC? Yeah, 100% chance I'm going. But realistically, it's kind of one of those situations, just like, you know, me being gay. Like, there's a very, very, very strong likelihood I will be there unless something, and I try to say that, like, unless something crazy happens, I'll be there. Like, hey, like, will you be at work tomorrow? Like, if my boss asked me right now, will you be at work tomorrow? I mean, yeah, right? I don't see why not, right? Right now, like, sure, I'm going to be there. Unless something crazy happens, I could wake up tomorrow with, like, 108-degree fever, dying, and, like, I don't go into work. Or I could, like, I don't know, like, go for a walk with Jax and get mauled by coyotes and, like, not be able to go to work tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, there's not a guarantee, but it's a safe bet. It's a safe bet that I'm going to LVSC this year, and it's a safe bet that I will most likely end up in a relationship with a guy. But am I fully gay? Maybe not quite. Maybe not quite. And so I kind of leave that shred of doubt open. And if I guess if there was someone that was non-binary or you know, female, and they wanted to date me, I'd probably hopefully be honest with them and say, I don't think I'm interested in girls like that usually, but you know, maybe I could see it, blah, you know, I don't know, just talk about it, have a conversation. And so I don't know. So that was a very long answer for a silly little question that said gay question mark. But I hope you enjoyed my answer, Orca. It was an interesting topic, and I think, you know, just in general, being honest is such an important skill. Being realistic, right? Like, no one wants to let anyone down, right? Like, it's kind of why, you know, here's an example. Like, we've been talking about EF a lot, right? You guys have seen it on my streams, like Chili Max and Aaron and those other Europeans really want me to go to EF, and I really want to go to EF. Sounds like a lot of fun, right? Getting to go to Germany sounds freaking awesome. But I've tried to be upfront because it bothers me when people are disingenuous about, like, something like that, where it's like, yeah, I'm totally going, and it's like, well, have you stopped to analyze the situation if that's viable, right? Like, I've pretty clearly told them, hey, there are hurdles, and the hurdles are, number one, I'm not leaving Jax at, like, a doggy, like, kennel for 14 days or whatever, however long I'm gone. So I would need someone to be able to come here to watch Jax. That's number one. That's, like, number one has to happen before I can even consider. I would have to line someone up to watch Jax. So that's, like, number one. Number two, getting time off, obviously, like, I guess that's also top priority, because if I can't get the time off, I obviously can't go. I unfortunately can't quit my job for a con. I wish I could. And number three would be money. Like, I need to be in a financial position where it makes sense to me. You know, would I have the money? Technically, yes, probably no matter what. But, like, where I have adequately taken care of myself to the extent that whatever that amount of money is reasonable to come out of my budget, right? So, like, I try to be very upfront and lay out the challenges for something like that, right? Just like I talked about earlier with, like, the relationship. Like, if a girl came up to me right now and said, hey, like, someone, let's say there's a female that I'm close with and they wanted to be in a relationship with me, and like, I would have that conversation with them like that. Like, there's challenges for that reason. Just as I don't know, does that make sense? I guess so. But it's like anything, you know, like, hey, Raichu, can you get this report to me by tomorrow morning? Well, boss, let me tell you the challenges right now. I have these meetings on my calendar. I have this other thing I need to finish, and I have a hard stop at this time because I have this other responsibility, blah, blah, blah. So I would say it's going to be a challenge. But if I can, you know, let's say if the meeting finishes early and I'm able to kind of, like, really solve this other issue very quickly, then I think I should have time. But there are those challenges, so if those don't go according to plan, then I don't know if I can have this report to you by tomorrow. And I hope that honesty would be appreciated by my boss if we had that conversation. And I hope that my honesty, you know, talking about the con again, I hope that my honesty would be appreciated in the sense that, like, if I don't get to go to EF, I would hope that no one was ever led astray that, like, oh, I'm going to be there. Because I'm someone, you guys know, right? Like, I am all about commitments. Like, if I tell you I'm going to do something, I am really, really likely to do it, right? Like I've talked about it before. I've never called in sick. I've never called out of my job. I've never, like, if I tell you I'm going to be somewhere, I'm going to be there, right? Now, would there be a situation where, like, I might not be at my job? Like, again, if my mom had a heart attack, and I'm sorry for saying, like, negative things, but, like, let's say my mom had a heart attack like tonight at like 10 p.m. and it's like, okay, right, I need you to drive this 5 hours to San Diego right now. Like, okay, I'm not going to be at work tomorrow, you know? But it's just about, like, be honest with people. And honesty is just such a simple thing, right? Like, don't commit yourself to things that you can't commit to, right? And, like, it would be the same thing if I promised someone, just this last week, I was on a collab with Toshabi and Orca, and Toshabi's been trying to get me to be on this collab for a while, right? And we were trying to find a time when everyone could do it, and I pretty much told him I will be there whenever you two can figure it out. But I will be there whenever you can figure it out. And, like, I promise you I'll be there because you want me to be on there, right? So I'll commit myself to that, no problem. And so then, the week that it was, like, lined up, as you guys saw, last weekend was a very busy weekend for me. I had a community event on Saturday. I had a stream on Sunday, my bonus stream, and it turned out like it was too late. Like, I'd already scheduled all that stuff, and then it was like, hey, RAIety, I know you said you can be there whenever, so, like, we're doing it this Friday. Like, that's when everyone's available, so that good for you? And I could have said no, right? Because it was a very busy week for me, but I'd committed and said, I will do it when you guys want to do it. And they wanted to do it then. And so, you know what? We did it then. And, like, was it maybe the ideal quote unquote time for me? Well, maybe not, right? But when I commit to something, and I try to be very honest about my availability. And if I thought that I couldn't commit to that, then I wouldn't have committed to that. I committed to it, and so I did it because I said I would. But I try to be very realistic with my commitments. If I say, like, hey, you know, maybe we can do something on Saturday, like, or someone asks me, like, hey, can we do this on Saturday? Like, I will, if I say yes, I'm going to be there no matter what. I mean, barring, again, an emergency, it's the same thing with my streams, right? I don't cancel my streams. Sometimes I wake up on Tuesday or Thursday, and I just feel like crap. I don't want to stream, right? But I have a commitment. I commit to you guys when I post my schedule, unless there's an extenuating circumstance, something that I have to cancel the stream for, which has happened one time in the last 5 years. Unless there is something I absolutely cannot make it, I'm going to make it because I told you I'd be there. And it's the same thing. If I tell someone, like, I'm telling, like, you know, from our community, Kel and Cole and Otterly are all going to be at LVSC. I'm telling them that I'm going to be there. And unless, again, something emergency unpreventable happens, my mom is in the hospital, I have to go out of town to deal with that. Like, that would be an understandable emergency. But I'm not going to be like, oh, I woke up on this Thursday and I didn't feel very good, so I'm going to, like, not go. Like, I'm a big believer in, if I commit to something, I'm going to do it. And I think that's an endearing trait, is, like, being able to count on me. Like, if I say, like when Orca and I were trying to plan the Alone in the Dark 2 and 3 streams, both of them ended up being, like, day of notice. And Orca felt bad, like, hey, I know I'm not giving you notice, but, like, can you do it? And I had already told him, when you want me to do it, I am making a commitment that I will be there. So you just let me know, and I'll be there. And I think it's an endearing quality to be able to be counted on, right? Like, if you need me, I'll be there. And it's a good trait. Because I think a lot of people, you know, just for lack of a better way to say it, sometimes people can't be counted on, and they maybe make commitments to things that they can't commit to. So I try to, when I commit to something, it is my word, and I believe in upholding my word. And so if I tell you, hey, I'll be here at this time, or hey, if you need me, you can call me, you know, hey, like, if you're going through this and you need me, call me. Hey, if you need to pick me up and you want to do this stream, that we said we'd do, you just call me whenever that time may come, and we'll get it done. Because yeah, my word is my bond, and when I give my word, I do everything I can to uphold it. Again, sometimes there's a circumstance that would be unpreventable, like I had to cancel one stream in the last 5 years, uh, like out of the blue because I had an emergency. Um, but I try not to. That those kind of emergencies should be rare. And for me, it's important that that I, when I give you my word, if I give you a stream schedule and I tell you I'll be there, that's my word. If I tell you, you need me, call me. If I tell you, hey, call me if you need me, and you call me and I'm not there for you, yikes. My word does not mean much. So it's always been important to me to, that my word can mean something, and that when I tell you something, because words are like the most powerful tool we have in the world, in life, right? I truly, truly believe in the power of words, and so if my words don't have any meaning, then what? It's a vital part of me. Like when I say something nice about someone, or when I commit to something, or when I, anything, I want my words to have power, and I want you to know, hey, right, you said this, and so it's the case. I don't want you to have any doubt in your mind, and so that's why I work very, very hard to ensure that my word is my bond. And it's not always easy, but I do think it's extremely important, and so I continue to try to live by that mantra because without it, it just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to have your word not mean much. I want my word to mean a lot, and I hope it does, and I think it does. So I'm very happy about that. Something interesting that I talked about before is kind of that idea of like the idea of when you do something for the last time. Like the one I used as like an example a long time ago was like when my kind of group kind of was winding down playing Counter-Strike 1.6 together, and how I was kind of conscious of the fact that we were on the tail end, something that we did together for many, many, many years together. And, one time near, which may have been our last time or one of our last times, I was conscious of the fact that, hey, this might be the last time. And like, there's so many different things that it can apply to in life. Like the last, the kind of like, there's like a boomer meme. I don't know if it's necessarily a boomer meme, but like I've seen this meme, not, I don't know, it's not a meme per se, but it's like the, when there's like I mean, it's like a meme image, I guess, but like, it's like one day you went inside from playing and then you never went back out. Like, right, when you're like a little kid and you play outside all the time. One day you went back inside, and you didn't know it was going to be your last time. You probably didn't know it was going to be your last time playing outside or whatever with your friends. Like, I mean, even for me, right? When I was a kid, I played outside with my friends all the time, playing sports and whatnot. And I couldn't tell you the last time that we did that because I don't remember, because at the time I wasn't really conscious of the fact, like, oh, this might be the last time, or, we're winding down, we're on the tail end. So I don't know. I think it's a really kind of cool feeling when you can actually recognize that. Like I had mentioned, when I was recognizing that, hey, we're probably on our tail end of like playing Counter Strike together, and this is probably one of the last times. And it applies to so many different things. Like the last time, I remember the last conversation I had with my grandma, and I guess I was pretty conscious of the fact that she was old. Obviously, she was in her 90s, and so I was kind of conscious of the fact that any conversation could be the last, I suppose. But I wasn't really super conscious, and sometimes, like, you have friends like you hang out with a lot, and at some point, more than likely, the last time you ever hang out with them, um, or you play a particular game together, or you do something together, the last time you see someone, before, you don't know what life is going to take you. The last time you, pet your pet or whatever. The reason why this topic kind of came back to me was, as Jax is getting older, he's going to be 10 years old in a few months. And, I've noticed him slowing down a little bit. His health is great, honestly. It's a lot better than it was when he was 7, but he still had, which, he was 7 when we adopted him. Um, but like he's getting older, and I've kind of recognized as I the normal walk I take him on is like 30 to 40-ish minutes, and there was a time where, like, doing that walk, he would have tons of energy at the end, right? Like, he is not even tired, like, that is just getting started. But these days, as we're nearing the end of the walk, he kind of drags. He's kind of you can tell he's kind of okay, sorry about that. A little OBS crash, but yeah, basically what I was saying is, I take Jax on this walk, and I've noticed as time has gone on, he started to slow down, during that last little bit of the walk, and so it made me kind of just aware of the fact that there's going to come a time when we do our last ever walking of that route, and for me, it's kind of heavy because I've done, I've owned Jax for going on 27 months now, almost 27 months, which is, roughly 800-ish days. And I take him on 2 walks a day, every day, uh, almost without fail. Probably 800 of those days, 2 walks. So, I mean, many, many hundreds of times going on this route. And so it's kind of weird to kind of see that, that he's slowing down, and that, yeah, there will become a time when, and I probably won't know it, I I guess maybe there'll come a time, like, drastically where he just can't do it, and then I decide, okay, no more. But more than likely, um, we'll do the walk, and then at some point after, I'll say, oh, he's really slowing down, like, I can't take him on that walk anymore or something. And so it's heavy. I mean, it's a heavy thing to think about the last time, and, it's something I've kind of, I guess, tried to be more aware of and more mindful of, because it's something I feel like I get a lot of appreciation out of, just kind of thinking about that, and just appreciating each time more, because I don't remember giving proper appreciation to a lot of different, things where we were winding down, like there wasn't going to be many more of that thing happening. And so I try to be mindful, and I try to just be appreciative of every moment, every time I hang out with someone, every time I have a stream, every time I have OBS is not a fan of me tonight, but that's okay. But yeah, what I was saying was, like, yeah, like, I like to kind of, like, I don't like things to go out with a whimper, right? And, like, I even think about, like, if I, someday, I know, I'm sorry, content warning, death, someday the right you will die. And, I hope that, like, it's something where I have, um, the ability to, like, have a real goodbye. You know what I mean? Like, when my grandpa passed, he passed of cancer, and he had many months where we knew he was going, and he was able to kind of take care of everything, have his final goodbyes, and, like, when he went, it wasn't a surprise at all, right? And I guess that's how I kind of think about things. Like, I don't want my podcast to end someday, without having, like, a real farewell episode. Same with the stream. I think about this a lot. Like, someday the stream will have to end, right? Like, the stream will not go on for the rest of my life. I know it's shocking to believe. I don't think it will anyway. But, like, I don't want it to just be like, oh, one day Raichu stops streaming, and this thing we've built over all these years just goes away, and we never get to experience it again. And no one and people wouldn't know that it's my last stream, right? It would just be like one day, oh, I guess I'm not streaming anymore. I want there to be a celebration. And when I do say someday, like, we're going to end the stream as we know it, I want it to be a big celebration of everyone and everything we've accomplished these years. And I don't know, it's just, thinking about it, it's like, eh, just being conscious, I guess, of enjoying those moments you have with people, or doing certain things with your pets, with your family, whoever it may be, and just be aware that, like, at some point everything will come to an end, and enjoying those experiences, and just kind of taking time to reflect, because, again, like I said, I've done that walk with Jack so many hundreds, probably over 1,000 times, and I'm aware that we're on the, you know, I don't want to say the home stretch, but I know he doesn't have another 1,000 of those in him. He might have another 100, maybe a couple hundred, maybe more. Who knows? He might surprise me, but I know he doesn't have another 1,000. So how many more does he have? I don't know. But we're gonna just kind of keep enjoying those while we can, and and that's really all you can do at the end of the day, right? It's like you just have to appreciate them because everything, like I said, everything will end. I've been playing League of Legends for 14 years as an example. Someday I'll play my last game of League of Legends, a game that's meant a lot to me, a game that helped me, at the beginning of my relationship, having something to bond over. It gave me ties with Toshabi's family because they played and we all played together. And it's like a great way we started bonding. In my opinion, one of the reasons we're really close to this day. It's been a game I've enjoyed with many friends, and I'm still enjoying it with friends to this day. And it's like, it sounds silly, right? But like someday I will play my last ever League of Legends game with friends. And theoretically, I could have already. You never know. Um, so it's just kind of appreciating those times, the things that are important in your life. Like there's a million things it could be. Someday I'll play my last poker tournament. Which I think is probably a more farther time away. But it's like I've got a trip to see my family next month. Sometime I will take my last trip to see them. Um, and it's like there's so many things you just kind of have to stop and think about that you don't think about, right? Uh, Little things that you do in your daily life, and it would be real easy for me to just say, not even think about that with Jax, and it just be, it's such a ingrained part of my life. Like, who's gonna stop and take the time to think about that? But I have been doing so, and for me, I think that's really special, and I've really been enjoying just being aware of that, and it's in my head, and I'm happy that I can, be aware that someday that will end, and I hope it won't be anytime soon, but you never know. All right, so we have a question. One more question on our podcast form, and it says, "How is Raichu so friggin' adorable?" Uh, Thank you. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you. Pichu did a great job in the model. But and the second part of the question, the real part of the question, I guess, is also what's something you'd like to do beyond streaming, like bigger slash future projects. That's a wonderful question. And I can't say that there's something specific in mind. I mean, I guess the big project that comes to mind for me, which is something that's outside of my comfort zone, is, I've talked about it before, but I'd like to make an RPG um, based around our community. I think that'll be the biggest time consuming thing because I don't really know how to use RPG Maker that well or make video games or anything. So for me, that's something that's very extra challenging because it's something that I'm not familiar with or skilled in per se. So that's definitely a big thing um, that I would like to potentially do. And it's been my goal for quite a while, and I hope that I will be able to do so. Um, Also beyond streaming, I mean, I guess my other big thing would be I would like to continue to write more novels. As you guys know, I've written a novel, and I originally was supposed to have a trilogy in this book series. I'm probably a quarter of the way through a second book, but I haven't touched it in so many years that it's way on the back burner. But I don't know. I'd like to write more books. I think I like writing. There's just so many things, and that's kind of the challenge, right? Is for me, I've always been a dabbler in so many different things, and I think like for me, it's really amazing when I think about it, like how many things that I can do, maybe not necessarily great, but like passably well, right? Like there's just so many different hobbies and interests and things that I know a pretty good amount about, or have some level of skill in. And there's so many things on the list, and it's insane. I'm still adding. Like I'm just started trying to learn music like 6 months ago, and I want to continue to improve with that. Like learning more about art stuff. That's still a goal, maybe. um, so for me, there's always more. I haven't done any coding stuff since like I was in college, and so I would like to maybe try to do more coding stuff. I don't know, but there's just so many things. It never ends for me. But as far as like it says bigger projects, so I would say the big projects that I can think of off the top of my head are the RPG for sure. When it comes to something based around the community, the RPG is the biggest thing. Um, the other project was me doing YouTube videos every single day, which I've been doing very well. So great job, me. But yeah, then the other thing outside of, I guess, the kind of streaming community as a whole would be to, write at least my second and third novels. At least I should try to finish the trilogy at some point, right? So those are my two big goals. And we'll see how they go. I'm hoping for the best, and I think both of those. I mean, I think those things can happen. I don't know how long. There's just always so much on my plate. It's really hard to dig into a huge project like that. Like the project I'm working on right now is a compilation video of the Alone in the Dark streams I did with Orca, and that's only 12 hours of footage to go through and edit and upload. But that already feels like an insurmountable task. So something like a novel that takes hundreds of hours potentially, or an RPG, which I'm sure. I mean, I don't really know how to make an RPG. I'm sure that could take hundreds of hours easily as well. So projects like that, very intimidating. Just because of lack of time, not because of lack of effort. Because I am not someone who shies away from putting effort into things, but just something that is going to be, you know, a big time sink. Is tough for me. But you never know where life will take you, and maybe at some point in the future I'll have more time. I'm not too confident in that, but you know what? I do want to make it happen someday, and I think I will make it happen someday. But you never know. But we'll hope for the best because that's all you can do. Optimism, right? It's important. Okay, we've talked about a lot of kind of heavy-ish, serious-ish topics this week, so I just figured we'd end with just some lighter notes and just talk about kind of I beat Omori recently, and I don't know if everyone here listening will have played Omori, but let me tell you, if you haven't played Omori, what a game! Wow, like it's like I guess the last game that I played that really like made me say, "Wow, what a game!" like that was Celeste, and that was a long time ago. So I don't know. It's been a hot minute, and it's just crazy to me. Like I play, for me, right on stream, I play a lot of games, and I get to experience a lot of games for the first time. But those are like the only real two that I can really say just made me think, "Wow, what a game!" Uh, it was a crazy experience, and honestly, like, I do wanna do more, like, I'm kind of tempted to try to 100% it, maybe. I don't know. But it was just such a great experience, really emotionally what a emotionally heavy game. That is, like, for me, right, I can't really and I don't know if it's just, like, the time of my life that it came up in or what, but, like, it's pretty rare for me to feel that emotional of a game. Like movies, I feel like in general get me a little more emotional compared to games usually. But that game just wow, it hit me unbelievably hard. Like I just got destroyed by that game. What a freaking game it was. And I am truly just like, wow. Uh wow. Um I wonder if they're ever gonna make, like, a sequel. I mean, I guess there's really nothing to do with the sequel, but, uh, I don't know, or I don't know, maybe that dev has made other games or plans to make other games? That would be really cool. I would love to see more work from them. I wonder if I can, like, check on Steam and see if they, have other games. I'm looking to see if, like, the dev what's the dev's name? Uh, there's a way to see that, right? Um Developer OmoCat. Yeah, okay. So do they have any other work? No, they don't. Well, I wonder if they'll ever make another game. I mean, I hope they made enough money that they don't need to necessarily make another game, but um, they deserve it. But I would love to see another game by them someday. So let's hope that happens because it was an amazing experience. And up next we've got to play some one shot, which I don't know what to expect. I guess if I can say it now before I actually play it, my impression is it's like an Undertale-ish type game. So maybe like some level of emotion, because Undertale made me feel things, right? But Undertale did not make me feel things like Omori. So I think it's gonna make me feel things, but I'm not sure if it's gonna make me feel things like Omori did. But I'm excited, and maybe something lighter after that. I'm still trying to figure out what else to do on YouTube series after those. Maybe I'll do something really light and easy, like a Portal or something like that, that I can just kind of chill, go through, and just make it real nice and easy on everyone. No stress, no drama, no nothing like that. It'll just be easy breezing, and so maybe we'll go that route. I don't know. I'm still pondering. Um, yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll find out together. You, me, and more me. But wait, it's all me. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna do those things. And as for horror, I'm pretty lined up with good horror games to do on stream. I don't know how I felt about Happy's Humble Burger Farm. I mean, I guess it's been a pretty funny. I don't know. Do you guys think it's funny? Who knows? I don't know. But like, I guess it's been pretty funny. But I'm not. I don't know if it's a good stream game. I'll be honest. I think it's a little too much for me to talk. Well, I don't know. It's weird because something really chaotic like that can be a good stream game in the sense of like it's really funny, right? Like I'm sure it was freaking hilarious watching me do it. But then I feel guilty that I'm not able to talk to you guys that much because I'm doing something very like that is by far the game. Like I can play freaking hard games and chat with you guys while I do it. Even during my speed runs, I can chat with you guys. But that game, trying to focus on like getting the orders right and stream to you guys. I mean, I guess that's why freaking fast food jobs like on their own not streaming are already challenging. I guess I guess that's why. Wow, I understand things. Like yeah, I mean, I worked at KFC when I was a teenager, and it was very hard, even not streaming. So I guess it makes sense, but it's been a doozy. So we'll hopefully move to something a little easier to play after this. I've got a lot of that's the good thing, right? Is I have enough games to never ever buy another game, but I'm gonna buy more games anyway. Oh, and I got something fun, but I don't want to really announce it here. I have something fun I bought to hopefully do some weekend videos with. I think it's gonna be really, really fun. So I'm gonna be doing that. Hopefully, when I have time to record a bunch, I'm gonna do that, and then I'm gonna have the episodes, and then I'm gonna start uploading the episodes. It's gonna be awesome and cool, and I'm gonna be really happy. But man, time is so hard. Maybe I'll start debuting that in April because the next few weeks I got a trip to go on. There's stuff going down, man. Life's gonna be busy. Life's always busy, but um, then we got some stuff going on, but some cool stuff to come. I still need to figure out what to do for my birthday too. I mean, I assume I'm streaming. My birthday falls on a Tuesday this year. I assume I'm streaming. Um, do I want to take the day off work? Probably not. Though it is tempting. I don't like working on my birthday. Maybe next year on because it's on a Wednesday next year. I like Wednesdays off are cool because you have like you work 2 days, so it's like a 2 day work week, and then you have a break, and then another 2 day work week. So Wednesdays off are awesome. I think next year on the Wednesday, definitely taking that day off. But a Tuesday, it's just a little wonky. It's not. I don't know if it's worth. I don't like it. So I think we'll work this Tuesday. Next year, I'll take my birthday off. It's on a Wednesday. Then we can stream maybe a little late on Tuesday, and then I can just take my Wednesday birthday and just do whatever I want. It's fun. I remember back in the day, I used to do this more. I don't really do this anymore, but like I used to just like go and just take my birthday off, and I just do whatever I felt like. Like I go to the movies, or I'd go and like go out to lunch or something. Like one year on my birthday, I remember, and I don't know, it's just a random day I remember, but this is probably I don't know, quite a few years ago now. Too shabby at work, obviously, like a normal person on whatever random day of the week it was, but I just took the day off and I went to the mall and I went to watch a horror movie, the movie It Follows. If you guys are familiar with that movie, I guess I could figure out when it was based on what year that movie came out, but great horror movie. I watched that. And then I went to eat lunch with myself. And then I just walked around, I hung out and just had a very nice, relaxing, calm birthday, just doing what I wanted. And I got all my free stuff. You know how a lot of places give you free stuff? Like, I'm pretty sure my movie ticket was free. I think I had a free movie ticket. I had like some free food at this place. I had a free Starbucks. Like I had so many free things, and I love free stuff. Let me tell you. So it was a cool birthday where I just kind of did what I wanted and had a chill time and got a lot of free stuff. And I love free stuff, and I love having a chill time on my birthday. Um, yeah. So I don't know. I'm tempted to take my birthday off this year or do something, but then LVFC, I have 4 days off for that. I have a day off in March for my dad's birthday, so probably I should just work it, tough it out this year. Um, I don't want to, but I should. So I'm gonna do that. Right? Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that. I think. I don't know. I'm just trying not to end up also in a situation where I have too much time off at the end of the year. But I think I'll be okay. That's not a common problem. "Oh, I have too much time off. I'm so sorry." That's so difficult to deal with. I'm sure I'll make it work. I'm sure I'll make it work. Even though, I don't know. I don't know, man. What am I even saying? I don't know. I don't know. It's hard to PTO is one of the hardest things to manage, I find, because I don't like to use too much at the beginning of the year because I know, well, what if something comes up later in the year I want to do? And then like what if I need it for something or stuff? But then like the year goes on, what if I don't use it? Then I got to do a bunch of time off at the end of the year, but I'm not actually doing anything. So then I just take time off for nothing. And it's like, oh, I hate trying to schedule it. And then I have to like split it like between friends, between like loved ones, like family, and then like between like going places like cons or any like there's just so much stuff like you got to split it between all these people and you only have so much. And it's just like, whoa, there's so much to worry about. There's so much, but it's okay. We'll make it work. Anyway, guys, I think that's about it for this week. In other podcast news, I guess we have a special guest episode coming up in the next episode or two here. So stay tuned for that. I will keep you guys all posted as always. But until then, thank you so much for listening to this episode. I don't remember what episode we're on now, but whatever episode it is, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. I hope I will. All right. Much love. Take care.